Hello everyone, welcome to the November issue of 4LadsHadADream podcast. I'm your host, my name is Stevie Clifford. Joining us tonight is our regular co-host. He is the Evening Times and Sunday Herald senior sports writer, Mr. Chris Jack. Chris, how are you?
Very good, Stevie. Thanks for having us on as always. Good to be here.
Good to have you back, mate. Also joining us tonight, later in the show, will be Andy Newport from the PA News Agency. Andy, how are you?
Very good, mate.
Thanks for joining us. And our special guest tonight is none other than Mr. Neil Alexander. You will remember Neil as spells out his career at Stenhousemuir, Livingston, Cardiff, Ipswich, Crystal Palace, Hearts, Aberdeen and Livingston. He's now a retired coach with Dundee United, but what we will focus on is his spells at Rangers between 2008 and 2013. He was part of the SPL winning squads 2008, 2009, 2009, 2010, 2010, 2011. Also a Scottish Cup winner 2008, 2009. League Cup winner 08, 10 and 11. And also a third division winner in 12 and 13. So lots to talk about with Neil Alexander. Neil, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Most people will remember Neil for his time for his penalty saves and being a crucial part of league run-ins, and that's what we'll talk about. But before we get to that point, Neil, you joined Rangers in January 2008. You'd previously worked with Walter for Scotland. Was it an easy decision to come back up to Scotland and sign for Rangers?
Probably one of the easiest decisions in my life. You know, it was a dream come true, you know, to get the opportunity to come up to such a big club as Glasgow Rangers. I couldn't believe it when the opportunity came around. I was genuinely the type of person who thought never in a million years will I get the chance to play for Rangers. And that's a genuine thought of mine. You know, as I say, I started at Stenhousemuir and worked my way up. So, you know, to get to a club like Rangers was the pinnacle of my career. Going back to the Walter Smith, you know, I was, you know, very fortunate that Walter was a manager that gave me my first Scotland caps as well. So, you know, I owe a great deal of gratitude to Walter Smith for what he done for me in my career. You know, getting me to Rangers as well. So, I only got 3 Scotland caps, but I say I cherish them very highly. You know, my Scotland caps, one of my most privileged, prized possession I have in my house. So, you know, I'm very fortunate to get that, and grateful to Walter for giving me the opportunity, and then to give me the opportunity to sign for Rangers was just amazing.
You've come from at a time where you were Ipswich number 1. You were making a lot of appearances for them. To come to Rangers and challenge and be understudy to Alan McGregor. You made your debut in the Scottish Cup after Alan was red carded at Hibs. How did it feel to make your debut, and how do you prepare for a situation where, you know, you're in a matchday squad, you're not expecting to come on? How difficult is that in such a major game to be ready?
Actually, looking back, it was probably the best thing that happened to me because, you know, I didn't really have time to think about it. I think I'd signed on the Tuesday or the Wednesday. I think the day they played Hearts at Hampden in the semi-final of the Cup. So I signed that day, had my medical, signed that day, went to the game at Hampden at night. And then I think the game was Saturday lunchtime. So I was in the squad for that. So my first game, Alan gets sent off after 8 minutes. So it was great to come on. I think I was on the pitch for about 4 minutes, had a couple of touches. But that was my introduction. That was great. I'd made my debut. I was a Rangers player. So it got out the way. And then and obviously because Alan got sent off, I knew when the replay came about, I would get my first 90 minutes. So it made it probably quite easy to settle in. You know, I didn't have to prove anything to anyone. A lot of the boys knew me from the Scotland squad. So it was great. And obviously I'd signed a 3-year deal with Ipswich. And probably at the time thought I'm going to be here for 3 years. And obviously I was a number 1, played every game of the season and was doing well. But obviously, as I say, the chance to come to Rangers was too good to be true. As I say, a dream come true. And I remember getting told on the day, I think we had a game against Colchester at night, and it was a Monday night, I think, that the news had come around, and my agent had phoned me and said, listen, I've had interest from Rangers, would you want to go? And I said, yeah, definitely. He goes, right, okay, let me go and speak to Rangers. I need to go and speak to Ipswich. So things happened through the night, and I was training on the Tuesday morning. I remember just as I was about to step out in the training field, I got a phone call from my agent, and he said, the deal's done, but you cannot let the Ipswich manager and chairman know that you know. So if you let on like that, the game, if it affects you in the game, he said he's going to pull the plug on the move. So I was so excited, so buzzed. I was like a kid in the sweets up that day, trained brilliantly, went home so excited, went and played the game. I think we drew 0-0, saved a penalty, got man of the match. And then the manager pulled me after the game, and I had to make out as though I'd had no idea, no clue what was going on. And he's like, we've had a bid for you from Rangers. Do you want to go? And I'm like, what do you think? And all that. Even though in the back of my head, I was definitely screaming, yeah, I'm going. But I had to make out as though I didn't know, and I had to think about it. But I said, yeah, definitely want to go. So that said, went back into the dressing room, had my shower, said cheerio to the boys, went back to the flat that night. I was up to about 2:00 in the morning packing because I had to be up at Rangers for my medical the next day. I think I left, drove up at 6:00 in the morning, 7 hours, drove in the car. Best drive of my life, driving up to Glasgow, had my medical, and I went to Hampden that night and signed and everything. So it came about really quickly, but it was just a whirlwind couple of days. And then, as you say, going to the Saturday morning, the cup game at Easter Road and making my debut. So it was just an unbelievable short period of time for me. But, I loved every minute of it.
Rangers were having a very successful season that year, and it was getting extremely busy. And around the February-March time, Alan McGregor, somewhat out of the blue, gets injured. And at that point, Europe and the domestic run was coming to a climax, so to speak. Was it difficult? Is it difficult or kind of mentally to prepare yourself? Or is it a case of you're always prepared and always ready to step in? And did you feel nervous, or were you just ready to grab that opportunity at such a vital time in the season?
I think as a number 2 goalkeeper, you always have to be ready. That's why you prepare. You prepare as though you're playing. And especially at a big club like Rangers, you've got to be 100% on it every minute, every second if you get the opportunity. And I think Alan got injured, and it was an unbelievable week that week. So I remember Alan got injured at Parkhead. He had a great game that day, saved a penalty and everything. He came on, he got injured and I came on. So that was very unexpected. And I think it was a Van Hesselink game that he scored in the last minute or something like that, and they won it. So we had, I think that was a midweek game, and then we had the St Johnstone Scottish Cup semi-final on the Saturday or Sunday that weekend. So that was my first game at Hampden. So I played in that, and then we had the Fiorentina game, first leg, that midweek. And then we had Celtic again on the Saturday or Sunday at Parkhead, and then we had the return leg at Fiorentina. So that 10 days was like thrown in at the deep end. So it was a little bit of sink or swim. And they were big, high-pressure games that, at a club like Rangers, you need to do well and you need to perform and win the games. So it was a bit getting thrown in to the deep end. But, I thought I handled it really well. I think we went to penalties, and I saved a couple of penalties in the semi-final, which brought my I was really confident back then. And I felt already I'd proved to the Rangers fans that I was a good signing, because that was important to me. It wasn't that obviously being a number 2, I wasn't just a number 2. I looked at myself as a number 1 and someone to challenge Alan and put the pressure on. And the fact, I wasn't happy just to be a number 2. I wanted to push and try and get the number 1 and show the Rangers fans that I was good enough to be there. So that was a good start for me to go and have instant success. And then the Fiorentina midweek game, 0-0 clean sheet Ibrox, so that was good. I think we got beat 3-2 at the Parkhead game, but then obviously the second leg in Florence, was fun. Another penalty shootout, and managed to save one, and then the rest is history. So it was a whirlwind 10 days, and it was a bit like wow, but I loved every minute of it, and it was a great introduction for me to what life was like at Rangers.
That's something we were going to talk about, obviously, as a goalkeeper. And we were in a position where Alan McGregor's been so solid for us. When you come in, you've made a great start, saved 2 penalties against St Johnstone from Stephen Milne and Jody Morris, which won the penalty shootout for us. It then goes Fiorentina. Fiorentina was a difficult one at Ibrox because it was a really close and really tight game. You had a couple of fantastic saves from Adrian Mutu. One free kick, you probably would have been routine for yourself. But then we go to Parkhead and we lose a game where we were ahead twice. And a difficult one, and it was kind of jammed into fixtures, and there was a whole lot going on. But we then go to Fiorentina, and I'm not sure that many gave us an opportunity, and it was quite a kind of stuffy game. Rangers had a late chance in extra time with Stephen Whittaker, but then it goes to penalties, and Barry Ferguson misses straight away. It was a great save. Obviously, you must have appreciated that save.
It was a very good.
It was a very good save up to.
And just on that, because I remember, sorry to interrupt, I just remember Barry Ferguson coming to me after the game, and obviously he felt rotten. He was delighted that we won, but he was really disappointed that he missed the penalty. But I made it clear to him, listen, that wasn't a bad penalty. It was an excellent save. So he took that quite hard that he missed that opportunity. But it was just saying to him again, listen, it was a great penalty. Any other day it would have been, the goalie might have gone a different way and it would have been a really good penalty. But to be fair to him, it was an excellent save, you're right.
During the penalty shootout, Fiorentina were quite cocky. I don't know if you remember Montalivo when he took his penalty, he was rubbing his shoulder, and it wasn't.
Never noticed. I was so focused on just trying to save one. I think for me as a goalkeeper, when I go into a penalty shot, I'm just trying to say, can I just save one? Can I just help the team and save one? Because if we score all our 5, then we'll hopefully win the game. But then when Barry misses, you think straight away, oh geez, no, I need to save maybe 2 now for us to even have a chance of winning. But my main focus is save one, just save one. And it was funny because video analysis isn't what it is just now. They never had the video, and we never had loads of research on Fiorentina players' penalties. The only one I sort of had any research on was Mutu's, because he was a regular penalty taker. So I'd watched maybe 3 or 4 of him, and he went the same way every time. So he was the one person that I was so focused on. I thought, I'm going to save his. I'm definitely going to save his. So if you notice, I don't know if you'll notice this, but when Nacho scores his penalty and everybody runs off to the corner, it takes me, I didn't realise that Nacho's penalty was the one to win it, because I was so focused that I knew Mutu was the last person to take for them. And I was so focused on, he's the next penalty taker up. Right, where's he going? Right, I'm going to save this. So if you realise when I run, you see me sort of with the corner of your eye when the camera goes to Nacho, I'm split second behind everyone else, because I don't realise that that's the winning penalty, because I'm still thinking, Mutu's penalty, I'm going to save this one, and I'm going to be the hero. So it was weird. But as I say, I just went in to try and save one, and luckily enough, I did manage to save one, and then Vieri put his over the bar, which was great. So it's amazing. It's little things like that people don't realise, that you probably won't look, unless you really look, you won't see me. I'm one of the last. All the squad come running towards Nacho, and I'm one of the last to get in, because I've not realised that was the winner. I'm still focused on trying to save the next penalty. Just to
kind of touch on that penalty moment, the Liverani save, and it's important that we don't underplay how massive that is. There's not many Rangers goalies in their life that can say, I saved a penalty that helped us go to a major European final. Is that one of the best moments of your career? Well, certainly, if not your Rangers career.
Oh, it's definitely in the top 3, I would say. Definitely. I don't think at the time I realised the importance. Obviously, I know it was a huge game, and I knew it was important, but you're going down in history, just to give the club a chance to get to a European final. And as I said before, you're so focused on the penalties, you don't really take it in what you've done. It's like, save it, right, okay, up, going, hopefully we score the next one, and all I'm concentrated on is then, can I save the next one, and then can I save the next one? So it's not really till after the game, and it's sort of everything sinks in, that you realise, wow, I've done something pretty special there, and it's such a massive achievement. So for me now, I can tell my kids and my grandkids and whatever to look back on that. Yeah, it does. And when people like yourself talk about, Rangers fans talk about it, I was just doing my job at the time. I felt that's what I was there to do, save a penalty. Lucky enough, I did save one, and we scored, everyone apart from obviously Barry's, and it got us through. So, everyone was a hero that night. Everyone played their part.
Manchester, the end of the season, the fixture shambles and the difficulties Rangers went through. We came short, but managed to obviously win the Scottish Cup, which you played a part in. How do you look back on that end of the season? Is it a bittersweet memory for you as much as it is for the supporters?
Listen, it was nice to finish the season on a high, to win silverware, even though we made it quite hard for ourselves that day. But I just think there was so many games at the end of that season. It was a bit of a joke. We needed help. And we remember, I think the hardest thing was, I remember like the Russian FA or whatever gave Zenit players 2 weeks. they suspended their games for 2 weeks so they could prepare for that game because it was such a massive game, and we were just like game after game after game, and we had no help, and I just think we ran out of legs at the end of the day, and it was really difficult. So that was a little bit of a shame because, as you say, you're going down in history, and if we'd been given the right preparation, things could have been so much differently, and we could have been having a different conversation of, I've got my winner's medal instead of a loser's medal. So, and I think in the end that cost us the league as well. I think if we probably hadn't got to the UEFA Cup final, and we had more time to prepare from week in, week out games, league game, I think we probably would have won the league. But would I swapped it? Probably not. To play in such a high-profile game was just an unbelievable experience, and I'll say you're going to go down in history as potentially one of the last Rangers goalkeepers to play in a major European final. I hope not. I hope they will get to another one soon. But that's how it might turn out. So it was such a massive occasion. But I just wish things could have been different. We could have had a right go because we never really got the time to enjoy it as well. It was just like we played Dundee United, I think, on the Saturday, and then we virtually flew to Manchester game, and then we were straight back. We had the game against Motherwell on the Saturday lunchtime, so it flew by. We didn't really get time to enjoy it, take it in. It was just like another game, prepare for another game, right, recover after the game, league game. So it was a bit unfortunate, and you just sometimes wish things could have been different because then the outcome could have been different. But I just think towards the end of the season, we ran out of legs, and that was all it was.
On to 2008-2009, you are back to challenging Alan for number one, and the season kind of goes on, and out of the blue, there is the Scotland Boozegate scenario with Alan. He's basically binned out the team, and you are straight in again as number one. We go on to clinch the title and Scottish Cup. What are your memories of that particular time? Did Walter pull you aside and say anything, or it was just a case of you're in, you've got to do it?
Well, I remember I remember watching the Scotland game on the telly, and I remember the cameras peeling in to Alan and Barry, and you could sort of tell what was happening. You're like, oh, this might not end well. But I didn't realise the repercussions would be what they were. I thought obviously maybe just get a wee bit in trouble with Scotland. But I didn't think obviously Rangers would take a stance, and then obviously it built up the papers. I think the media totally blew it out of proportion, and sort of they built it up, and obviously Rangers felt like they needed to act, and obviously so the club disciplined the two of them, and I think they were suspended for 2 weeks. So that was when I came back to training. I think Jim Stewart, we were just training, and Jim Stewart just came and had a word and just said, you know what's happening, you know what you need to do. Just get on with it, let's go. So that was all it took. I knew myself that I was going to be playing. I knew I had to have a good week's training, get switched on. I knew how important the running was. Walter never said anything to me. It was just that quick word with Jim Stewart. You know what's happening. Yeah, you'll be basically just saying you'll be playing. That's you playing. So get your head right and get training good and get focused, switched on. So that was all it took, that little 30-second word. And didn't need to say any more because I sort of knew. I knew as soon as Alan was suspended, I knew the fact that I would be playing. And I think there was 14 league games to go, or 14 games including cup to go, and it was a massive. The split was going to be happening soon as well, and it was a massive run-in for us, and it was an important time. I think obviously to go on and be a part of that and step in and go on and win the league and the cup was huge. I was delighted with the way that season ended.
Walter Smith said the following season that it was extremely harsh that you were back to second choice, and you basically at that point became the cup specialist, and the next couple of seasons you were part of the League Cup winning, and they were actually massive, memorable games. The League Cup final against St Mirren was the infamous 9 men winning the league, and then the following year the 2-1 Yelovich Cup final as well, and these were obviously massive games. You had particular moments in them games as well. I remember quite vividly the header in the last minute. I'm sure it was maybe Gary Hooper in the extra time after Rangers were ahead and things like that. But at that point, you'd signed a new deal and you were happy and content. You were really well liked by the fans. What are the memories of the cup wins during those years?
First and foremost, I was so grateful for Walter to stick with me in the cup finals because, as you say, he had a tough choice and he felt that, Alan was the number one. I knew that. I signed to be back up to Alan. Alan was the number one goalkeeper, and if Alan was fit and available, he would play. Obviously, with the discipline thing, it made it hard for him. And I came in and done well, and probably maybe could have sort of thrown my toys out the pram a little bit, because I thought maybe I deserved to play. I think I had a really good pre-season, because I felt going in to that season I had a really good chance to start the season. So I obviously gave myself the best opportunity in pre-season, looked after myself in the summer. But Alan was the number one. He had come back. He'd done really well in pre-season as well. So the fact Rangers had two excellent number one goalkeepers, so it was probably a real headache for Walter at the time. But my job was to go in and not let anybody down. Go in when called upon, and I felt probably over the 5.5 years that I was at Rangers, I think I had a couple of probably errors that were poor, that maybe let myself down. But over the 5.5 years, that was maybe it, 2 or 3 errors, and I felt that was maybe the thing that I never let anybody really down, and that was massive for me. But yeah, no, Alan started the season. That was fair enough. Obviously, I was bitterly disappointed, but I just had to get on with it. Being at a club, you can't be sulking at Rangers, because you never know when you'd be called upon again. So, I was grateful for Walter for sticking with me in the cup, and especially when you get to the cup finals, you could have easily gone with his strongest team and played Alan. But he was like, no, you'll play throughout the rounds and you'll play in the final if we get there, which was great, because it always gave me a sort of carrot, something to look forward to, because, they were coming round maybe every 5-6 weeks, them games, obviously the fifth round, the quarter, the semi, the final. It was always quite a space and apart, so it always gave me something to train towards. And as it got closer, I'd be more focused in. I knew I was playing, so I had a wee carrot there, that kept me going throughout the season, so that was good. Obviously, the St Mirren game, going down to 9 men, you're thinking, oh, geez, this isn't good, but we need to hang on for penalties here. I think that's what everybody thought. Get to penalties, and that's probably our best chance of winning this. But then Kenny comes up, unbelievable header, and they managed to hang on. So that was an amazing day for sort of that, going down to 9 men, and that will always be remembered for that. But then the Celtic game, and probably along with the Fiorentina game, and obviously UEFA Cup final, the Celtic game would probably go down as one of my top 3 highlights at Rangers, because to play in a domestic cup final at Hampden against your biggest rivals, full house, is things that dreams are made of, and to win it as well. And I just remember when that full-time whistle dropped to my knees, and the feeling inside of me was just unbelievable. I mean, I can't describe how you feel to go win a cup final against Celtic at Hampden. So that's probably in my top 3 highlights at Rangers. That was amazing.
2011, 2012, Walter leaves, Ali comes in, and we'll not talk too much about that year. Obviously, it goes wrong in the financial crash and things like that, which we'll get to. But what was it like to work with Walter Smith? How much of a kind of figure was he in your career? And then what was it like with Ali coming in as manager, having been assistant, and maybe everybody's pals and changing and things like that? How did you get on with Ali as manager, and what was Walter like for you?
Walter was just amazing. I mean, I owe Walter so much. As I said, he gave me my Scotland caps, and he gave me the opportunity to sign for Rangers. So, he's the best manager I've worked with. I can't speak highly enough of Walter. The man's just an absolute legend. Best manager I could have worked with. What a man manager, brilliant man manager. Just someone that you would run through a brick wall for. You would just do anything, and you just wanted to do for him, because he was brilliant. And what a team we had, because we had obviously Coisty was assistant manager, who was great among the band. One of the lads joining in training, always laughing, joking. You had Kenny McDowell, who was a fantastic coach. You had Ian Durant, who was always mucking around and slaughtering the players. He would slaughter you when you're doing well, and he'd pick you up when you're not doing so well. So they had such a great balance of a backroom staff. It was fantastic times, and we had such a good squad there. It was really, really enjoyable. A great mix of good cop, bad cop as well. So when Walter would go mental, you would sit and take it. But if Walter wanted to maybe go and think about things, Coisty would come in and have a right go at you, and then Walter would just come in and solve the problems. So they bounced off each other really well, and it was great. And then when Ali took over, the boys loved him. He's an absolute club legend, looked up to him from such a young age as well. He's a Scottish internationalist and, a Rangers legend. So, it was great to work under him as well. So very, very fortunate to work with two great managers. But to say, I owe so much of my career to Walter, and I still sort of so many fond memories of him, and absolute legend in my eyes.
Obviously, we all know what happened in 2012, and we had Greg Wild on last month, and we've had Stevie Smith and people like that on, and we spoke about it a wee bit. But I want to talk a wee bit more about what happened in the aftermath. Obviously, we went to Division 3, and with all due respect to Division 3 and things, you're not a Division 3 goalkeeper. Why did you decide to stay, and how much did you enjoy that kind of side of it, going to all the different places and that stage of the journey?
I didn't enjoy it. I'm not going to lie, I didn't enjoy it. It was tough going to places like Elgin and Annan. It's, it was difficult. We never had the sort of players that we were used to having. The internationals here, there, and everywhere. I had a lot of young boys. We had obviously myself, Lee Wallace, Lee McCulloch, as the sort of main older, experienced Rangers players. And I had a sort of group of young boys around us who were thrown into the deep end a wee bit and had to produce week in, week out. And it was tough. I wouldn't say, although we won the league comfortably, there was times where we struggled and we found places tough to go and grind results out. It wasn't enjoyable. It wasn't an enjoyable season. The pressure was on. I think every away game was on live on telly. We were always a potential banana skin for someone. They were desperate for us to fall on our faces. We didn't have the players that we once had, so we were never blowing teams away. There was obviously occasional 6-0, 5-0 games at Ibrox, which you'd expect, but away games were hard. You were going to some venues, but the pitches weren't great. The changing rooms were tiny. It was difficult, but as I said to you before, being at Rangers was a dream come true. I never in a million years thought I'd ever get the opportunity to play for Rangers. When I was a young kid running around the park, I never ever thought I'd get the chance. So, why would I want to leave? It's the best club, and there was a part of me that wanted to go down in history as one of the ones that stayed. It's so hard to get to a club like Rangers. Why would I be in such a hurry to leave? I had 4.5 amazing years up to then. A lot of success, playing a lot of games which we spoke about, and I just wanted to give something back a wee bit. I didn't want to jump ship too soon. I wanted to try and get us through the leagues and get Rangers back to where they should have been, back in the Premiership, and I wanted to be part of that journey. And not so much go down history for that, but I felt that I was good enough to play in the leagues quite comfortably, and I just wanted to be part of that journey, to be at a club I was in no hurry to leave. I absolutely loved every second of it. And that's probably why it was so disappointing to leave. And obviously with the administration thing, it was tough. You've seen all the players leave, but I loved it there. My family was settled. I had quite a bit to do with it. My kids were settled in school. My wife's family, my family, are Edinburgh. My wife's family are Glasgow. So my kids were settled in school. So I was happy, and to play at Ibrox every second week in front of 53,000, that's unbelievable. So there was never a doubt in my mind that I wanted to go. I was desperate to stay, and I was desperate to stay and sign a new deal and stay as long as I could.
That kind of takes us on a wee bit to the kind of points of, there was a lot of disappointment amongst the fans that you were not given a proper renewal. That then, you left, and Cammy Bale came in, which not going to criticise Cammy Bale, but a lot of people were really disappointed because we all felt that you should have been number one throughout the journey all the way back up. And there was some obviously legal problems, and you weren't paid properly and things like that. How do you look upon that? I hope that doesn't kind of spoil your memories or time at Rangers. And would you, if you had given the opportunity, would you have stayed and ended your career with us?
Yes, 100%. That's what I wanted. I just wanted to stay there as long as I could. I loved it. Loved the club. Amazing club. Had so many good times there, on and off the pitch. And that's probably why I found it so hard. And it probably took me a good 2-3 years to get over it. And I've probably never said that to anyone. I found it hard to leave. I found myself on Rangers social media every day, finding out who they're signing, what's happening. I found it hard to get myself away from the club. I was just so engrossed in the club, and even then when I moved down to Crystal Palace, I found it really difficult, and maybe I needed that distance away get far away as possible and try and get on. But I found it really difficult to pull myself away from the club because I was one of the deals when we took our 75% pay cut and all the administration thing. Everyone got something in their contract as an incentive to whatever to take that pay cut. I want to mind what I wanted to sign a new deal. I wanted a new contract. So no one could believe it. Like, why you want a new contract when you're going to be going down and all this and your wages and all this? But I was like, nah, I want to stay. I love it here. I want to stay. I want a new deal. And I think that was part of the thing that never happened. So I never got that new deal. So I felt that I've done all this. Everyone else got what they asked for. And what I asked for was to stay at the club and sign a new deal, and I never got that. And I found that difficult. And I say that's sort of the legal thing. Obviously, I don't want to go into things like that. It was a really, really disappointing way to leave. I wish we could have left on better terms. But that's football. Sometimes that happens. As I say, it's there's no. Listen, I still love the club. I still have very, very fond. I love the club. Fond memories. I love being back with the legends. That was great. But I found it hard to leave. Found it really hard to leave because I didn't want to leave, and I felt that maybe I was forced a little bit to leave. Which when you don't leave on your terms, it's not great. So that it was really tough. Yeah, it was a tough time.
Before we end this, want to talk a wee bit on your appearance last month for the Legends game. How good was it to be back? I know personally, the fans loved having you back because it was a good opportunity to make sure that you got the proper reception you deserved and thanked, because as I said earlier, there's not many goalkeepers that has won as much as you did. 5 cup finals, 3 league trophies, massive moments in Fiorentina and that. So you also had some tremendous saves, the one we spoke about before, obviously off air with Gregory Vigno. How much did you enjoy being back? And was that nice to kind of maybe put a wee kind of, not like kind of closure on your time at Rangers, but just great to be back and great to know the fans are on your side and things?
Yeah, I know what you're saying about that closure. I never probably thought I'd ever get the chance to go back and put that Rangers jersey on and play at Ibrox, And obviously, I know I wasn't first choice because I know Ronald Vateras was supposed to play and he got injured, and that was the only reason that I managed to get the call up. And for never in a million years did I think of myself as a Rangers legend, quite the opposite. But to get asked to play, I think I got a phone call from Mark Hateley on the Wednesday, and honestly, I was like a kid in a sweet shop. I was so excited. I couldn't stop thinking about it. As I say, I'd done a bit of training on the Thursday and the Friday at Dundee United. We never had a game that weekend, luckily enough, which made me available to play. So we never really had any training towards any game the Saturday. So obviously being the goalie coach, I sort of dictate training a little bit about myself. So the Thursday and Friday I'd done proper training sessions just to see how I was looking. I was feeling pretty sharp, pretty good, but I was so excited. And to go back to Ibrox and to share a dressing room with some proper legends, and just be around them, and it was just unbelievable. What a day. It was, as I say, I was like a kid in a sweet shop, and obviously got my jersey and got them all to sign it and my programme and stuff like that. It was just an unbelievable day, and obviously to go and make a few good saves and, to be remembered in that sort of way, that I've still got a wee bit in my locker. Was fantastic. Obviously, losing the 3 goals was disappointing. But as I say, it could have been worse. It could have managed to make a few saves and make the scoreline a bit tighter. And we were lucky not to draw the game if Boydie scores his penalty, and we had a couple of tap-ins that should have scored that we missed. But unbelievable. And I hope I get the chance to do it again because I loved every minute of it.
Just to bring it up to date a wee bit, Neil, obviously your old sparring partner back at Ibrox this season. How impressed have you been with Alan's form? And I'm assuming you're delighted to see him rolling back the years this season.
He's been absolutely immense, but that's Alan. I knew Alan. Alan's been no different. I would imagine Alan would have been disappointed how things turned out, and he probably never should have left either. If obviously the club hadn't been in administration, I think Alan would have still been at the club for the next, the whole time he was away. But Alan's a top keeper, and I knew he would hit the ground running here. He feels back home, he feels comfortable, he's around his family, and he's fitted right back in. He's been outstanding. The goalkeeper, I know, he's a top guy. top goalkeeper, and he's deserving of this new contract that I hope he gets signed and sealed soon, because he's been probably one of Rangers' best players. He's been outstanding, and it's great to see him back. He's a really good friend of mine, and I'm absolutely delighted for him.
That deal probably gets him another 12 months, but can you see him going on even longer than that? He's obviously cleared injury. He's playing most weeks. A clear suspension as well. He looks not quite as good as ever, but he's certainly in fine form and shows no sign of slowing down. Definitely,
I'd say if there was any doubters out there, he's definitely proved them wrong. He's been, as you say, very consistent. He obviously has his mad moments, which Alan does now and then, but that's just part of the character of Alan. When you get the brilliant saves, you sometimes have to come across the moments of madness. But that's Alan. But he has been probably one of the most consistent players for Rangers. And I think, I definitely think he's got another couple of years left in him. He's still, he's just at a great age where he's full of experience. He knows the game. He knows how to play the big games. And he's a great character in and around the dressing room. He gives a vast wealth of experience to all the boys who are new to the club, who don't maybe realise how important it is to be at Rangers and what's expected. Griggsy will be there telling them, and he's got very high standards, and he doesn't let anyone in front of him drop them standards. So great player to have around, and top goalie. And I think he can be for the next 2 or 3 years as well.
That experience that Alan's got and Steve Davis has got, there's not many guys in that Rangers dressing room that know what it takes to go and beat Celtic in cup finals, to go on European runs, to go and win league titles as well. That could be invaluable if Rangers can keep in this title race for as long as possible. Having those guys around, not going into closing stages, must be huge for them.
Definitely, these players are massive in dressing rooms because they know how to win, and they know they've been brought up in the Rangers successful years, and they know what it takes to win trophies, to win leagues, and they will not let the boys around them drop their standards, and that's to the two winners. 2 boys that played at the highest level, international and down south in England, and to come back up, 2 amazing signings, two of the one of the 2 best players that were there at my time as well, and for Rangers to bring them back is very, very smart signings, and I think those 2 of them will be key players this season.
Did you get a chance to speak to Steven Gerrard much when you played at a Legends game the other week there, and now have you made an impact that he's made both on and off the park round about the club? There's a whole different feel round about the place these days. And speaking to Big Jig after the game, he said it kind of felt a bit like Walter's time. There was just, their standards have been raised. It was back to Rangers being Rangers.
Yeah, there's definitely an aura about Steven Gerrard. Honestly, when he walks in the dress, everyone sits up, takes notes, be quiet, listen to what he has to say. He came in and he came round us before the game and introduced himself and said hello, which was great. I had a bit of a laugh and a joke during the game. He tried to chip me a couple of times. He was desperate to score, so we were having a little bit of a laugh about that. I mentioned it at full time. He was just having a wee bit of laugh. But no, I didn't really get a chance to have a proper chat with him. But he looks like a really nice guy, and he's done exceptionally well. He looks like he's going to be a top manager, and he's been exactly what Rangers needed. I think he's got the enthusiasm and the drive back into the Rangers support, that passion. And he's a winner. He's a winner. He demands high standards day in, day out, and he knows how to win things as well. So I think he's been a fantastic signing for Rangers. He can attract the best players. Everybody wants to play for him. I'm hearing such good things from the players about him, and I think it's a fantastic for Rangers. I think he'll be a top manager, and hopefully he starts off winning silverware at Rangers.
I'll just give him a final one there, Neil. As a silverware on the cards for Rangers this season, do you fancy them to go and get something?
I do. I certainly do. I think they've been excellent, very consistent. They're especially at Rangers, they're looking very, very dominant, scoring lots of goals. They're keeping plenty of clean sheets. So yeah, things are looking really good. Obviously, January they might bring in even 1 or 2 just to strengthen, but I think they're definitely going to give Celtic a run for their money, and it's going to be really, really tight this year. Really tight, and obviously being in the cup final, there's a first chance to get silverware, and but I think the league's a big one. But I think that obviously they've put themselves in a great chance, so it's going to be really exciting running, and I'm desperate for them desperate for them to win something. Hopefully the league this year and maybe a cup as well would be great.
Good stuff. Neil, thanks for coming on tonight. Much appreciated, and all the best to yourself, Robbie, and a big lead for the rest of the championship campaign as well.
Thanks very much. It's been a pleasure.
Neil, just on behalf of obviously myself, it's not often that we get to speak to somebody that has had some legendary moments in the Rangers jersey, and I don't think they can be underplayed. 3 league titles, 3 league cups, 2 Scottish Cups, obviously 3rd division, and the man who saved a penalty that took us to a European final. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you on behalf of all the Rangers fans for speaking to us as well. Very best for the rest of your season and your coaching career. We hope to see you back at Ibrox soon.
Hopefully. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you, Neil. So we thank Neil Alexander for coming on, and we'll go now and ask Andy and Chris what they've thought of recent Rangers performances and Rangers news and things. Andy, you have been out in Japan watching the World Cup. How much have you managed to see of Rangers recently, and how impressed have you been with the results and things?
Konnichiwa. So it's not much. I mean, I managed to see the odd European game there, a couple of the Saturday games, but the time difference was 8 hours difference, so it was pretty tricky. But I've been back for a couple of weeks, so I've seen obviously the Ross County game, and I was at Hampden working on a sort of wee overtime basis at the weekend there, and it's been impressive. I mean, you think back to the Old Firm game, and that could have been perhaps like last season. That might have been something that would have derailed the team, give them sort of put a bit of doubt into them. But they've really sort of come back from that setback pretty impressively as well. The young boys' result as well. They seem to be coming to the boil quite nicely, and there seems to be a bit of a confidence that wasn't always there last season. And also, I think, just a resilience now, that if they do get setbacks, generally they're much better suited and more able to shake these sort of dips in performance or dips in results and get over them after that.
Chris, obviously there's been a lot of off-field noise after the accounts were released last week, and we'll get to that in a wee minute. But it's been a few weeks now since we spoke to Greg Wild, and Rangers have obviously joint top of the league, behind on goal difference. We've got a positive result out in Porto. We have Porto again Thursday night, and away to Livy on Sunday. Obviously 2 huge games. How do you rate the progress since we last spoke, and what's your general feeling on Rangers and where they are at the moment?
I think it's been a fairly encouraging few weeks, and I think you really need to be encouraged heading into the next few weeks. We're actually talking about it in the office the other day there. If you look at the fixtures Rangers have got probably between now and Christmas, that really shapes what they can achieve between now and the end of the season. If they can finish this year well, potentially win the Betfred Cup, emerge from Parkhead either ahead in the league or no worse than a couple of points off, and obviously they qualify in Europe, that then sets them up nicely going into the January break, go away to Dubai for a bit of sun, come back refreshed, ready, and really give it a good go in the second half of the season. I don't think you can underestimate the importance of the Betfred Cup. I think if they can go and win that one, it really shows Celtic that they're here, they mean business, and they've got that winning mentality that Steven Gerrard's been so determined and so keen to try and get into the squad and get into the players. So I think the next few weeks, and certainly that run in December when they've got Aberdeen on the Wednesday, the cup final on the Sunday, and then Young Boys the following Thursday, that's 3 huge games. If Rangers can come through that unscathed, I think that tells you quite a lot about where they are and potentially where they could be heading this season.
Obviously, Chris, Andy's been away and maybe not caught up as much, and you've done an article at the weekend, and the financial results came out on Friday. There's been the usual reaction online, Rangers are going bust, Rangers are everything else. But when you look into the financial results, the 11 million loss obviously paints a picture, but in context, it's the financial results aren't actually as bad as they are, albeit I do think some questions need to be asked at the AGM. How did you look at the financial results overall, and what was your impression of them?
I was hoping you were going to ask Andy all these questions rather than me. You cut me at the wrong section here. Obviously, the 11 million loss grabs the headlines and gets everybody talking. But as we were speaking about the other day, Stevie, there's a lot of one-off items in that aren't necessarily going to be there next season. I think the business looks to be getting back to more normalised levels to what Rangers would expect it in terms of the money coming in, the commercial revenues getting a bit better with James Bisgrove now being appointed over the last couple of months. I think we can see that with the Emirates tie-up for the Dubai trip as well. So there's more work to be done in areas like hospitality and marketing and commercial. But I think we're seeing Rangers get back to levels we can expect them to be at. But in terms of the loss, there's a couple of £1 million worth of legal fees to Mike Ashley. There's the money that's been spent round about Ibrox and the Hummel Training Centre that the press boys have seen over the last couple of weeks. And there's obviously the funding for Steven Gerrard. You can't bring Gerrard in and then not back him in the transfer market, which they have done quite a lot, obviously, over the last 12 months in the last 3 transfer windows. So I think there's reasons there for the Rangers fans to ask questions about how long this funding can go on for. Obviously, Dave King and the guys that are backing him don't have unlimited funds. But I don't think there's any real need or reason to be worried about the financial viability or sustainability of Rangers. I say the guys that are there are in this for the right reasons. They're not going to plough as much money as they have done, put in as much time and effort as they have done over the last 3 years just to let Rangers go to the ball. That's not going to happen. So I think when it comes to the EGM in a couple of weeks, it'll be a fairly easy affair, much like the last couple have been. So the press boys always go in the off chance of something kind of exciting and a couple of headlines out of it. But as the last couple of years have been fairly low key events, and I would imagine this year will be the same. I don't think you'll get many dissenting voices amongst the Rangers fans towards Dave King and the Ibrox board.
Andy, something that Dave King said about the financial crash and what happened at the end of 2011 into 12 and back in David Murray's reign is that when he was on the board, they didn't ask enough questions. They didn't question David Murray on the finances. They didn't kind of push him and get for assurances and things like that. Do you think it's a reasonable question? And obviously, Rangers fans are eternally grateful to the board and the people that are there and the way they've accelerated the kind of money into the club and that. But do you think it's an acceptable question for the fans to be asking for assurances on future funding and, obviously how the club are going to break even and things like that without sounding ungrateful? Because obviously you don't want to question these people and sound ungrateful, but do you think in the context it's fair questions to be asking?
Absolutely. I think where the club's been, what it's been through over these last 7 or 8 years, it would be neglectful if supporters and people who cared about the club weren't asking those questions. I mean, I think Chris is right in terms of the last couple of AGMs. There's not been much in the way of, a grilling of the board and of Dave King at the AGMs, which surprised me to an extent because, there have been mistakes made as much as I generally do think that Dave King and the board deserve a lot of praise for the way that they have sort of systematically worked through a lot of the problems that have faced the club over the last few years. Obviously getting somebody like the calibre of Steven Gerrard in as well is a huge coup as well. But specifically the fact that the club are still making losses, I mean, Chris is right again. When you look through the balance sheet and the figures from this year, there are a lot of things that are what you're hoping won't be repeated year after year. I mean, the training ground haven't actually been back since I come back from Japan, but looking on social media, it seems that it's a sort of fresh lick of paint to the place. Ibrox gradually you see is coming back up to standard, the sort of standard that you'd have seen 10 years ago. But I do think in terms of the club has to get back to profitability eventually. I mean, you'd expect that to happen if they get into Europe, into the Champions League, the higher levels of the Champions League. But things like the Mike Ashley situation, that has to be resolved soon. The club is bleeding money every year on this, not just through the poor commercial figures that they're posting, but through the fact that it's millions of pounds that have been spent on legal fees and all that sort of stuff that it's been taken away that could be going into a transfer budget. So, yeah, I mean, there's pluses and minuses right now with the way that the club's been run, but I mean, generally I think you can't hide from the fact that the club is heading in the right direction. There's challenges they have to be faced and overcome, but yeah, I don't think it would be ungrateful of supporters to be asking tough questions of the guys running the club, just to make sure that these things are going to be addressed. I mean, the club took a bit of the guys in charge of the club took a bit of if you look at some of the court proceedings from Mike Ashley's recent sort of courtroom stuff, there's been some stinging criticism from the judges and things like that. So there's questions to be asked on that front, but undoubtedly, bit by bit, the club seems to be getting back on its feet.
Going back to on the field performances the last couple of weeks, we a kind of tighter affair at home to Motherwell 2-1, which we didn't particularly play well, but managed to pull it out the bag in ways that perhaps we wouldn't have done it last season, and that's something that has become a regular thing this year. And then you've got the performance in Porto. We've done very well out there. We've went up to Ross County and won well, and we've broken our Hampden hoodoo as well with a good performance at the weekend. Andy, how are you feeling about the on-field performances, individual performances such as Ryan Jack, Stephen Davis and things, and where do you put us in the moment in terms of ahead of the Porto game Thursday and Livingston at the weekend? Do you think we're in a good place coming up to those?
I think if you look back, let's say 4 or 5 years, I mean, Rangers were, I'm trying to think, what was they, League 2, League 1 at that point, maybe Championship at that point, and now you're going into a game 5 years later, even that period has not been smooth, and yet you're going into a game against Porto at Ibrox. I think Rangers fans would have every expectation they're going to win the game given the way they played over there. I mean, that just, for me, illustrates how far the club has come. I mean, it's been pretty huge step, especially the last 18 months since Steven Gerrard came in. And I think they've got every right to think they could win that game tomorrow. The way they performed, especially the second half over there, was extraordinary. And you think, it was a pretty empty stadium. Chris O'Neill, I think he was over there. Obviously, I was just come back from Japan at the time, so watched it on TV, but it looked pretty empty. You wonder what sort of their motivation for this Europa League is. They've not had the greatest of season so far, and then you expect Rangers Ibrox to be absolutely jumping, as the way Stephen Gerrard was talking today about getting supporters revved up. I mean, I really think Rangers can go there, win this game, and put themselves in absolute pole position to qualify for the sort of Europe after Christmas. And just in terms of performances recently, I mean, I just think when you've got a midfield sort of base of the way that Jack and Davis are playing right now, I mean, and then you add in Morelos, just absolutely red hot form up front. Ryan Kent, slowly but surely getting back to the sort of levels that won him a Young Player of the Year award last season. I think Rangers fans get every reason to be very hopeful for the remainder of the season.
Chris, somebody that has maybe, I'm not going to say outperformed, but he certainly went up levels that I wasn't sure he had. And I made a statement at the start of the year, the start of the season, that I didn't think that if Rangers were to be successful, I didn't think that Ryan Jack would be a starter every week. And, true to form, that's come back and bit me, squarely in the backside, because he's went up levels that I didn't think he was capable of. He's got his new deal, which he's thoroughly, deserved, but he's driving this Rangers team. He is grabbing games by the scruff of the neck. He's pushing them forward. He's actually becoming dangerous with his shots around the box. Are you surprised by the levels Ryan Jack has got to, and how much of the management played in unlocking that?
We've asked Stephen Gerrard 2 or 3 times about Ryan Jack over the last 3-4 months maybe. He's very keen to put all of the improvement down to Ryan himself. He always says it's him that asks the questions, it's him that puts in the hours, it's him that's raised his game. But I don't think you can underestimate the impact of Stephen Gerrard and Gary McAllister. We spoke to Ryan after the Ross County game last week, and he again himself basically gave Gerrard a bit of the credit. Now, you can't work alongside Steven Gerrard and Gary Mack and not take something from them and not come on as a player. He's probably playing better now than, well, he's certainly playing better now than I've ever seen him play. Probably playing better now than I thought he could do this season. I thought Steve Davis would end up being the more influential of the Rangers midfielders this season, and I expected slightly more from Joe Debo than he's shown at times. But Ryan Jack has certainly really come to the fore, adding goals to his game as we saw up at Dingwall. And I think the biggest compliment you can give him is that when he's not in the team, you really notice that he's not there now. You do get certain guys in squads that if they're not in the team, it doesn't make a massive difference. But Ryan Jack's not in that Rangers midfield, you really notice that he's not there. And Steven Gerrard loves him as a player, loves him as a professional, and I say the fact he's given him 2 new contracts in the space of 12 months, is so keen to keep him, so keen to reward him, tells you everything that you need to know about how highly Steven Gerrard rates him. I think the encouraging thing for Jack, for Gerrard, the Rangers fans, I think there's probably still more to come from Ryan Jack in terms of adding a bit more goals to his game, maybe going and driving forward a wee bit more and being a bit more effective in the final third when the games allow. So as good as he is, as good as he's been playing, I think there's still that wee bit more to come, and that's a really exciting prospect for Rangers fans to look forward to in the second half of the season.
With that said, before we wrap this up, Chris and Andy put you on the spot a wee bit, and obviously by the time that everyone listens to this game will have come and gone, but Porto Thursday night and Livingston on Sunday. Boys, put you on the spot before we stop for the international break. 6 points, is it doable and will we do it?
Yes, I think they'll beat Porto 2-1 on Thursday, and I'll go 2-0 Livingston on Sunday.
I think I think they'll sneak at Ibrox. I think it'll be close. I think Porto are a good enough side that they'll give Rangers troubles, but I think a 1-0 sort of hit and smash and grab win could be very much in the cards. And then I don't see this Livingston side being any trouble for Rangers at the minute. I think a comfortable 3-0 win should completely be in the cards.
So with that said, all there is to do is obviously we need to thank Graham, our engineer from Gersnet. He gives up his time and edits and puts this all out and makes us all sound audible, or some of us at least. But so it's a huge thanks to Gersnet and to Graham as well. Also a thanks to our sponsor. We have got Kerry's Crazy Costumes, Chief Lamper on Twitter. You can go and find these guys, and without these guys that help us and help put these things on, we wouldn't be able to do it. Our sponsor G4 Claims as well. Get on to Twitter and have a look and give them a wee follow, and they can help you out with any insurance needs and things like that as well. And with that said, obviously, huge thank you to our guest Neil Alexander. I'm sure you all agree that it was brilliant to hear from him. And it's not often that we can speak to guys that have won 9 titles at Rangers and saved penalties to get us into Europe. So that was the European finals. That was thoroughly fascinating listen. And also thanks to obviously Andy Newport for coming on. You can find Andy's stuff. He's a sports reporter for PA Sport in Scotland. You can go and find him on Twitter, Andy Newport PA. And obviously our very own co-host Chris Jack, who's been with us right from the beginning. Chris is now with us weekly. Chris, you can find obviously Chris Jack on Twitter. He writes every day for Evening Times and also the Herald and Sunday Herald Group. So Andy, Chris, massive thanks to you both for coming on, and we'll get you on obviously again soon. Thanks for your time, boys.
No problem at all, Stevie. Thanks, Graham.
Thanks for having us.
And all that's left to be said from myself, obviously, you can find myself on the Gersnet forum. Get yourself on there, get yourself involved. All the breaking news, all the transfer rumours, all the Rangers chat is on there. Get yourself involved. And also, you can find us at 4LadsHadADream on Twitter. Thanks very much for all your support. We've just recently smashed through 45,000 followers. 750,000 hits on the blog in 2 years. It's just incredible. Something that I never thought in my wildest dreams would happen. So from myself, obviously, 4LadsHadADream, it's a massive thank you. Come and join us. Give us some feedback. Let us know if you enjoyed the podcast. There's a huge guest coming in December. We're very, very excited about it. So excited I don't even want to tell you in case it doesn't happen. but it is massively exciting. We hope that you'll join the podcast. Come and subscribe. You can find it on all the usual places, Spotify, YouTube. Just search for Gersnet, hit the subscribe feed and come and join us. And until we speak to you again, all I've got to say is good luck to the team, good luck to the managers, good luck to the players, and enjoy our performances in coming games. And thanks for listening. Ignore the nonsense, the irrelevant and the noise.